Dan Illman, Mike Beer, taking a look at race number 7 at Belmont Park on Belmont Stakes Saturday. It's the Grade 2 Woody Stevens Stakes for 3-year-old sprinters. You can play it with your own DRF Bets account. Learn how to join the Belmont Stakes action with plenty of free cash. DRF.com/bet is all you need to know. Here's the field for the Woody Stevens. It is a big field. We are expecting a fast pace. How does that fit into the plans of the number 3 Engage for Jose Ortiz? This horse never been out of the exact in 5 lifetime starts. Had to work very hard to beat an underrated Lone Speed and Forced last time out. It was a 3-horse field. Career best buyer over a wet track. To me, I don't know, maybe this horse is okay. I think he's a bit of a trap at a relatively short price.
Yeah, I'm sort of with you, Dan. I mean, I don't know how much I really want to get involved with this horse as one of the favorites in here. Not that, I'm going to, fall off my chair when he wins the Woody Stevens, but I don't know. I just don't know how good I really think he is. What I do like about him, if I like anything about this horse, what I do like about him is I think his best races are where they just sort of take him back and let him make a run. And that's going to play really well in this field because there's a ton of pace in here. So maybe he just gets the right setup, gets a good run into it, and he comes and he gets it done in here. I just don't really want to bet him as one of the favorites.
You see the 11 World of Trouble, 7-2 on the morning line. This horse so impressive in winning the Pasco Stakes at the 7 furlong distance at Tampa Bay. Did not beat a very strong field that day, but he got a big fig, and he was the favorite in the Tampa Bay Derby off that race. And in the Tampa Bay Derby, listen, it was just too far for him. I thought he ran a heck of a race to finish 3rd. Just consider that Vino Rosso finished 4th, came back to win the Wood. He's in the Belmont. Quip came back to run 2nd in the Arkansas Derby. Flame Away came back to run 2nd in the Bluegrass. That was a live race, and now he's cutting back to an appropriate distance. Is he a need-the-lead type that could get burned by the other speeds, or can he sit?
It's possible that he's a need-the-lead type, and it's not going to work out for him here. I don't know. I watch him run, and I just feel like he's not some crazy headstrong speed horse. I mean, he seems like he comes to hand pretty nicely. I mean, heck, they got him to go a half and almost 50 last time at Tampa. I mean, in a lot of ways, you go back and watch the Tampa Bay Derby and think, what would have happened if they had let him use his speed a little bit on that field and get some separation? Because he actually ran pretty well there. I love him cutting back. His all three, to me, of his sprint races are unbelievable performances. I think this horse has a lot of talent.
Well, the time he lost sprinting, he banged into the rail. That probably cost him the race. The Timeform U.S. Pace Projector, not surprisingly, in a big field of 3-year-old sprinters, has a fast pace. That's what the red bar is for. 1, 12, and 2 expected to contest the pace. Let's begin with the 12 Strike Power. A horse who, like World of Trouble, is cutting back to an appropriate distance. His first 2 starts sprinting, very impressive. Career debut, 102 Beyer speed figure.
Crazy.
Yellow Derby fever. Fountain of Youth, they stretched him out. He chased Promises Fulfilled in vain. He wasn't letting Promises Fulfilled get away in the Florida Derby. Those horses dueled each other in a defeat. He's back at a more appropriate distance. Is he a need-the-lead type?
Yeah, that was a crazy ride he got last time. I don't know what that was all about, but it definitely blew up on him. I love this turn back for him. I think this is really what this horse wants to do. The 7 furlongs, in a lot of ways, is probably a perfect distance for him. I don't really have any knocks on his first 2 career starts. I wasn't as blown away by him as some other people seem to be, but I still recognize that he has a lot of talent, and this is what he's supposed to want to do. Go back to 7 furlongs here. Maybe he can sit on the outside and work out the right kind of trip for him. I couldn't talk myself into him in this race, but I'm not going to be surprised if he does well.
Madison's Luna, the number 1, expected to be part of this pace. Winner in his first 2 starts, including a graded event at Gulfstream Park. And last time out, they stretched him out to a 1-turn mile. They caught a sloppy track. I'm willing to draw a line through that race.
Yeah.
He's getting blinkers. His hooves are forced, though, by being down inside. And with all these other speeds surrounding him, boy, he's going to have to be good to win this.
Yeah, he got a terrible draw in this race. I do like his first 2 career starts. I don't know that he was beating really good fields in those races, but he certainly ran well. My advice about his Pate Mile would just be to put a line through it. I mean, the Pate Mile to me is just notable for the horses who did not run well. The 3 horses that ran 1, 2, 3 in there were all, I don't know, 1,000,000 to 1. I would put a line through his last race, and if you like him, give him a chance to rebound.
Pure Shot, the number 2, was 3rd on the pace projector, and last time out he chased his uncoupled stablemate, the very impressive Matoli, who ran away and hid that day. I don't think Pure Shot likes a wet track, so I think you can give him a little bit of excuse. Asmussen has done good work adding blinkers in the past. While the pace projector has him close to the pace, I just don't see him as fast as some of these others. And I'm not sure I love him from a stalking spot if they go 44 early.
Yeah, I kind of agree with all that stuff. I mean, I know that he has speed, but it just feels like, there's a lot of speed to me to the outside of this field. And I just feel like there's a chance that this horse, not only does he get outpaced early, he just winds up in a terrible spot behind a bunch of horses in here. And I'm not sure that I felt like he was good enough to win anyway.
Like several other horses in this field, Promises Fulfilled is turning back to an appropriate distance. 2 for 2 sprinting in his career. When he won the Fountain of Youth, they understandably continued on with the Derby fever, and in the Florida Derby, he was hounded by Strike Power, and it didn't work. I was surprised they went on to the Kentucky Derby after that race. He was hounded by Justified, and he paid the price. But he's cutting back in distance, and it's been a good move for Dale Romans over the years, as we see from this formulator fact. Past 5 years, 3-year-olds cutting back off a little layoff on dirt, 27%, a 256 ROI. Can he sit and finish?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I don't know that he's one of those horses who wants to sit in behind other horses, so we'll see if that works against him. I will say that he's a little bit dirtied up off of his last 2 races.
No doubt.
I mean, those 2 derbies are just races to me that you just don't want to hold against this horse. His Fountain of Youth, maybe he's dressed up off the Fountain of Youth race where he ran the 96 in a race where he controlled the pace and there were no closers. On the other hand, he did some pretty good things in that race. I mean, he had a tough outside post. They sent him early in there to get control of the race, so I liked that he was able to do that, and I thought he ran well. I thought he ran well in each of his first 2 career starts sprinting, and maybe that's what he really wants to do. I could even argue that he was best in the Kentucky Jockey Club, even though he didn't win. So I think this horse is actually pretty good, and I like that Dale Romans is cutting him back because there was no need to go on with this horse going longer.
Not sure if the 6 Still Having Fun's good enough to win a race like this, but he's going to get a good pace scenario, a better pace scenario than he got last time out when chasing that freakishly flash Matoli. The problem is that Still Having Fun's a little bit goofy, doesn't really change leads very well, but his sprint races are good. Throw out the Tessio going 1 mile and 1/8, throw out the Private Turns going 1 mile and 16 where he missed the break completely. His sprints are good. He's a late running sprinter that's going to get flow. I could see him underneath at a big price.
I agree. This is a horse who I want to be using at a price in this race. I thought his Chick Lane was fine. I mean, the track was wet. He was never going to beat Matoli. He came wide to the stretch. Like the way that he ran on to the finish in that race, though. I think all of his sprints are good. I think there are a lot of ways to look at this horse at a price and think, I'm using him.
Trainer Dallas Stewart won this race in 2016 with Tom's Ready, a late-running sprinter. And I think Give Me a Minute's another horse that's going to appreciate turning back in distance. This is a Louisiana bred, and he showed some ability early in his career. 3rd in the Hopeful as a maiden. They ran him in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He actually ran a surprisingly good 4th, while no match for Good Magic. And they put him in some really tough spots. Let's just say that. Here's the formulator fact, though, for Give Me a Minute. The same formulator fact that propelled Tom's Ready to a win in this race in 2016. Cutting back in distance, short layoff, on dirt. I thought his Pat Day Mile was okay. I thought he got shuffled back a little bit on the backstretch. The wet track didn't have to help him, although he's run well on it in the past. After 10 starts, is there any improvement left for this horse?
That's the real drawback to him for me. And again, the Pat Day Mile to me, whether he did well or didn't, that's just a race that I don't care about. I don't care what anybody did in that race. So you have to sort of judge him off his other ones. And he's run fine in some of the spots, especially when they've spotted him properly, which they've very rarely done. The question is, where's his fast? I mean, there are some fast horses in here. Where's his fast race?
The tabulator, we're looking for his fast race as well. His last race was a career best buyer of 85, but he is so lightly raced that we can see him step forward. He is 3 for 3 sprinting in his career. He was able to win the Iroquois going to 1 mile and a 16th, but I think 7 Furlongs is going to hit him right between the eyes. And the good thing is that he doesn't need to lead. He can sit behind 3-4 horses, I think, and come with a run. The question is he good enough?
Yeah, I guess we'll find out here. I think, to me, he is one of the horses from the outside who is going to be showing speed in this race. He's going to go forward, and we'll see if he's good enough. He's run some good races, though.
I've been a fan of Beautiful Shot, and he's another horse that they stretched out to no avail. Last time out in the Las Barrera, he was chasing the pace on the outside. I thought it was a good starting off point to get him back on the road to being a sprinter. After a couple of good races to begin his career sprinting, he's going to have to turn the tables on Kanthaka, who we'll get to in a minute, but I wouldn't be surprised if he runs well. 20 to 1's a really good price on him.
He's a huge price in this race, and I think you're right. There's a lot of ways to look at him and think he fits this race really well. He was, you go back and look at the last time, I mean, it was close at the finish, or relatively close. He was really no match for Kanthaka in there, but the race, there was no real pace on in that race, and he was always on the outside. Kanthaka was always on the inside. Maybe that made the difference in there. This horse is pretty good.
Aqua Belsar is a stakes winner against New York breds and very tough.
Yeah, I mean, they've been placing this horse in really tough spots right along. So obviously his connections like him, but he's going to have to up his game to win this.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Woody Stevens Stakes. I went with Contender, and here another horse that tried 2 turns. He didn't run badly in the San Felipe. You can argue he ran the same kind of race he did in the San Vicente, a race where he really made a bold move on the turn, and then he said, wait a minute, Mackenzie and Bolt Dior are just a little bit better than me, especially at this distance. I was stunned they went on the road to the Triple Crown after that, ran him in the Bluegrass. A mile and an eighth is too far. Last time out in the Las Barrera, yes, he had a better trip than Beautiful Shot. He saved ground in the pocket, but he was always traveling so sweetly. You knew he was going to fire if he got any room, and once he split horses turning into the stretch, he did fire. I like the fact that the first quarter of that race was not fast.
Yeah.
I had a feeling that we're going to try to sprint away from him on the turn. He stayed within range, and he still finished. This is a horse that runs the turns well. He's getting the wide sweeping turns at Belmont. Don't think the price is there, but this is a good sprinter.
Yeah,
he's getting pace.
I agree with all those things. I mean, it's all right there for you on paper with him. He's 3 for 3 at this distance. When they threw the really fast pace at him in the San Vicente,
he rolled.
He rolled in there. He was really good, and that feels like the kind of setup he's going to get here in the Woody Stevens. His other 2 races at 7 furlongs are both, I think, better than they look. They don't look as good as that race, but they're both better than they look. I just think he's a very logical horse in here. He's a deserving favorite in here, a horse who I could never play this race without using. Doesn't mean I'm going to bet him to win as the favorite, but he's a horse I could never play this race and not use this horse.
What kind of trip do you envision for Promises Fulfilled? What kind of trip do you want?
I mean, I want them to be forward in this race. I don't think they have to try and go all out for the lead in this race, but he's a naturally fast horse. They got to get forward in this race and then just hope that they don't go too fast for him and he can sort of settle and make at least 1 run in this race. I think this horse is pretty good, Dan.
Mike's going with Promises Fulfilled, 9, 8, 11, and 6. I think Contender only needs is a little bit of a trip, can't get stuck in behind horses, tiring horses, can't go too wide. That's always the closer's trouble. But I think he's a pretty good sprinter. 8, 3, 11, and 2 for me in the Grade 2 Woody Stevens Stakes, race number 7 at Belmont on Belmont Stakes Saturday. Play it with a DRF Bets account because you get free cash when you join the Belmont Stakes action. Learn more at drf.com/bet. Approximate post time for the Woody Stevens, 3:22 Eastern on Saturday. Best of luck.